Welcome back, fellow internet adventurers. Get ready for another wild ride through Reddit's strangest stories. We're diving deep into the internet's quirkiest corners. Grab your popcorn and join us on this adventure. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like. Let's get started. The sun had barely begun its descent when my phone rang, slicing through the calm of an otherwise quiet evening. I glanced at the screen. No caller ID, just a string of anonymous digits that stirred a vague unease in my gut. Still, curiosity got the better of caution, and I answered. "Hello." My voice echoed slightly tentative. There was a brief silence on the other end, the kind that's heavy with impending dread. Then it broke, a soft, rhythmic moaning that sent a cold shiver down my spine. My heart thumped painfully against my rib cage, a wild drum of confusion and rising horror. "It's your wife," a man's voice declared, smug and venomous. "Do you hear how good she feels with me?" The callous words were like a punch to the gut, and before I could muster a response, he hung up, leaving nothing but a dial tone and the echo of betrayal. I stood frozen, the phone slipping slightly from my grasp. My wife, Amanda, the woman I had loved and trusted for nearly a decade, was betraying me. The pain was immediate and sharp, like a blade twisting deep in my chest. How long had this been going on? The questions multiplied in my mind, each one a tiny explosion of agony. I needed answers. I needed to confront her, but not before I knew the full extent of her deceit. With trembling hands, I set my plan into motion. If she wanted to play games, I'd ensure they'd end on my terms. I reached for my laptop, pulling up her social and financial records, anything that might give me a clue or an edge. The hours slipped by as I dug through the digital remnants of our life together. Amanda returned later that evening, her face flushed from what I could only assume was her rendezvous. She smiled at me, a practiced, innocent smile that now twisted in my gut like a knife. "Hey, love, how was your day?" she asked, approaching to give me a peck on the cheek. I dodged, stepping back, my eyes locked on hers, searching for any sign of remorse. "Interesting," I replied coldly. "I got a call today. Quite an enlightening one." Her smile faltered, a flicker of panic crossing her features. "A call? What kind of call?" "Oh, just a call to inform me how much my wife enjoys her afternoons," I said, the words acidic, watching her carefully. Amanda's face drained of color, her usual composure crumbling. I can explain," she stuttered, but I raised a hand to stop her. "Save it. I've heard enough, Amanda," I said, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside. "We're done here. I'll be contacting my lawyer in the morning." As she stood there, stammering apologies and pleas, I felt a bitter victory. This was only the beginning of her unraveling. I had plans for her, plans that would ensure she'd lose much more than just my trust, her career, her reputation. I would dismantle it all. And as for her lover, he'd soon learn that vengeance was a game I could play far more ruthlessly. I walked away, leaving her in the midst of her shattered facade, the first move played in the chess game of retribution that would unfold. The battle lines were drawn, and I was ready to fight. The following morning dawned with a heaviness that mirrored my resolve. I was up before the sun, the silence of the early hours punctuated only by the steady clack of my keyboard. My fingers moved swiftly, crafting an email to my lawyer with precise, cold detachment. It was a detailed account of Amanda's infidelity, accompanied by my request for the swiftest, most severe legal separation possible. By the time the coffee brewed, the email was sent, and I leaned back, the first piece of my plan set into motion. But there was more to do, much more. The idea of exposing Amanda wasn't just about legal separation. It was about exacting a toll that matched the betrayal. My next step was clearer as I dialed the number of a private investigator. The phone rang twice before a gruff voice answered. "Hawkins Investigative Services." "Mr. Hawkins, my name is David Miller. I need surveillance on my wife. I suspect she's not only cheating, but might be involved in something that could jeopardize her professional life." There was a pause, a rustling of papers. "We can start today. I'll need details and any relevant information you can provide. Expect an email within the hour," I assured him and hung up, my network of retribution expanding. I shift my attention back home. Amanda is still asleep, likely exhausted from her emotional turmoil. I use this time to search through her personal belongings in her office. A locked drawer piques my curiosity. A few minutes with a paper clip, and it clicks open, revealing a stash of love letters and receipts for expensive gifts, none of which were from me. Each discovery is a cold splash of reality, a confirmation of the depth of her deception. I photograph everything, evidence that will soon come to light. As I sift through the papers, the sound of footsteps alerts me, and I quickly restore everything to its original place. Amanda enters, her eyes red, a tentative expression painted on her face. "David, can we talk?" she asks, her voice a mix of hope and fear. "We are beyond talking, Amanda. It's best if you prepare for what comes next," I reply without turning to face her. Her approach halts, and there's a sharp intake of breath. "What have you done?" she whispers. "Everything necessary to ensure you can't just walk away from this unscathed," I say, facing her now, my gaze unyielding. Amanda seems to shrink back, her posture deflating as the reality sinks in. "You're going to destroy me, aren't you? This isn't just about us. It's a vendetta, isn't it?" "Destruction is what you began," I retort, the bitterness in my voice more pronounced. "You should have thought about the consequences before you betrayed me." She opens her mouth to respond, but then closes it, the fight draining out of her as she retreats from the room. Her defeat is palpable, but there's no satisfaction in it, not yet. After she's gone, I take a deep breath and prepare for the next phase. This is just the beginning. Amanda will understand the full extent of her actions, and her lover, still unknown to me, will soon find out that his intrusion into my marriage comes with severe repercussions. The game has only just begun, and I am nowhere near done. The crisp morning air bites at my skin as I leave the house, the day unfolding under a gray overcast. My phone buzzes with a message from Mr. Hawkins, the investigator. He's quick and efficient. Attached are several photos and a video file, clear evidence of Amanda's indiscretions. The images show her with a man, not just any man, but Paul Richardson, my business associate, laughing intimately at a secluded cafe. The betrayal cuts deeper, mixing business with personal in the most toxic way. I dial Hawkins immediately. I need everything on Richardson. Dig into his finances, his other relationships, anything that shows patterns of this behavior. "Got it," Hawkins replies, his voice grim. "I'll keep you updated." With the gears turning on that front, I head to my office, a plan forming. Today isn't just another day. It's the day Amanda and Paul's affair becomes public. But first, I need to confront Paul, gauge his reaction, and see if he squirms under the pressure. As I enter the office, the usual buzz of work greets me. But today the sounds feel distant, secondary. I make my way straight to Paul's office, knocking sharply before entering. Paul looks up, surprise flickering over his features. "David, what's up? You look like you mean business." "Indeed I do, Paul." I throw the photos from Hawkins on his desk. "Care to explain this?" Paul's face blanches as he picks up the photos, his hands trembling slightly. "David, it's not what it looks like." "Really?" "Because it looks like you're having an affair with my wife." My voice is cold and steady. He starts to sweat, his usual composure unraveling. "It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to go this far." A mistake that repeated itself numerous times. I lean forward, my hands flat on his desk. "You've compromised not only my marriage but our business." "I trusted you, Paul." Paul swallows hard, his eyes darting around as if looking for an escape. "I can explain. Let's sort this out." "There's nothing to sort out." I straighten my decision firm. "I want your resignation by the end of the day, and I expect your full cooperation in clearing your responsibilities here." Leaving his office, the weight of the confrontation sits heavy, but there's no turning back. My next stop is the most daunting, facing Amanda with the new revelations. I return home earlier than usual. Amanda is there, sitting in the living room, her posture tense as if she's been waiting. The room feels charged, a silent storm brewing. "Amanda, we need to talk." My tone is a mix of resignation and authority. She nods, her face pale. "I know about Paul. I figured as much." I sit opposite her, the distance between us filled with years of lost trust. I've seen the evidence, Amanda, and I've taken action against Paul. He'll no longer be a part of my company. Her reaction is soft, defeated. I'm so sorry, David. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did, Amanda. More than you realize. I pause, gathering the strength to continue. I've started proceedings for our divorce. I suggest you prepare yourself for the outcomes. Tears well up in her eyes, but they bring me no comfort. Is there any way we can? No, the word is final, cutting off any plea. You should also be aware that your actions may have more repercussions. I've taken steps to ensure that the reality of her situation begins to dawn on her. The full weight of her choices manifests in her fearful expression. What does that mean, David? It means that the life you knew is over. I stand up. The meeting is concluded. I suggest you get legal advice. Leaving the room, I feel a hollow victory. The pieces are in motion, the retribution taking shape, but the cost is a broken heart and a shattered life. Hers and mine. As dusk blankets the city, a palpable tension lingers in the air, charged like the storm clouds overhead. Tonight, the culmination of my retribution unfolds, a calculated strike that will leave nothing to chance. My car pulls up outside a swanky downtown venue, the site of tonight's annual business gala, an event where reputations are made and broken. As I step out, the cool evening air does little to dampen the fire of vengeance burning within me. I adjust my tie and head inside, my every step measured, my mind replaying the final act of my plan. Inside, the gala is in full swing, a cacophony of laughter and clinking glasses. I scan the room, spotting Paul Richardson mingling with the city's elites, his smile practiced and unaware of the storm that's about to break. I make my way through the crowd, a friendly nod here, a handshake there, my facade impeccable. As I near Paul, I pull out my phone, tapping it to ensure the last piece of my plan is set. Tonight, not only will his professional life crumble, but his personal secrets will spill into the public domain. David, glad you could make it, Paul says, extending his hand with a confidence soon to be shattered. Wouldn't miss it for the world, I reply, my tone light belied by the coldness in my eyes. Just then, the lights dim, and a hush falls over the room. It's time. On cue, the large screens around the room flicker to life, displaying a montage of emails, texts, and incriminating photos, all expertly hacked and leaked from Paul's personal files by a contact of mine. The crowd gasps, their murmurs growing into a crescendo of shock and disapproval. Paul's face drains of color as he reads the displayed messages, proof of embezzlement, insider trading, and more. His eyes meet mine, filled with realization and horror. David, what have you done? He stammers, his voice barely a whisper over the rising clamor. Only what's fair, I respond coolly, turning to leave him to his fate as the crowd closes in, their former respect turning to scorn. But my night is not yet over. I have one last visit to make. I drive to Amanda's, where the final blow awaits. As I arrive, I see her through the window, pacing anxiously. She knows her social demise has been set in motion. I enter without knocking, her surprise turning to dread as she sees my expression. David, please, she begins, but I raise a hand to stop her. No more words, Amanda. Your social media, your emails, all laid bare tonight. My voice is calm, but it cuts through the air like a knife. She sinks into a chair, her face a mask of despair. Why? Why take it this far? Because betrayal from those closest deserves the deepest retribution, I say, my words echoing in the tense air. Our divorce will be the least of your troubles now. Leaving her to grapple with the magnitude of her new reality, I walk out, the final door closing on our fractured past. As I drive away to a new, free, and fresh start, I think goodbye for now. Be sure to like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell.